Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, it's like I always say, if the leftoids in the media are freaking out, if they're in a complete panic, totally outraged about what's going on or what Trump is doing, well then it probably means that progress is being made. The more Joy Reid or Rachel Maddow or Jim Acosta, Jake Tapper, the more they're panicking as if it's the end of the world as we know it, the more you can bet that something good is probably happening. And this is the perfect example of that. The same usual suspects in the leftist media are throwing a complete hissy fit at Donald Trump's latest decisive, bold move. It's a full-on meltdown, or I guess as the kids say these days, a full-on crash out, as Donald Trump, after assuming office, finally puts his foot down and orders every single DEI office shut down by 5 p.m. tomorrow, or I guess by the time you're watching this video, it's already been done. In other words, it's about damn time and good things are happening, but I guess we have a little bit of a difference of view now, don't we? Let me show you guys exactly what's going on. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so just like I said, it's about damn time. For years, these DEI initiatives have been little more than bloated bureaucratic black holes, basically sucking up taxpayer dollars to push woke nonsense instead of focusing on real, tangible results for the taxpayers. In other words, a total waste of money that does nothing. But leave it to Joy Reid and Eli Mystal to essentially frame it as the end of civilization. Oh no.
Overturn the Constitution to do his evil and wrongness.
Let's put some stuff up here. He was very excited about the end diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in the federal government. What's the impact?
Yeah, so that's obviously very bad. It's particularly evil to. I always think of prisoners, people who are incarcerated who have changed, who have transitioned. According to this, you're going to take trans women and put them in male prisons. What do we think is going to happen to them there?
Yeah,
that's not going to be a good day.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a thing that has real impact. There's also a real obvious equal protection challenge. And so again, Trump will do this. He will be sued. This is one of the ones that could be, if not completely stopped, delayed, but there will be people who suffer unconscionable pain because of what he's doing, and not in the kind of like, somebody just called Gracie George. No. These are people who are going to be hurt and physically assaulted because of Trump's executive order.
Yep, pretty much what you'd expect, par for the course for what usually comes out of MSNBC, what they consider news and commentary. Some of the dumbest, most pathetic arguments you could imagine. Oh no, what about the transgender prisoners? Who's gonna figure out which prison transgender prisoners should go to without $8 billion in DEI spending? I mean, seriously, that's the angle. Totally disconnected from reality, totally out of touch. Apparently the first thing that these people are thinking about when DEI gets the axe isn't the waste of taxpayer dollars or government overreach or, the fact that it's discriminatory racist policy. No, their brains go straight to transgender inmates. I mean, what? I guess they didn't get the memo that this clip basically lost Kamala Harris the 2024 election.
That they were standing in the way of surgery.
For prisoners.
And there was a specific case. And when I learned about the case, I worked behind the scenes to not only make sure that that transgender woman got the services she was deserving. So it wasn't only about that case. I made sure that they changed the policy in the state of California so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care that they desired and need. And I believe it was not only, I know it was historic in California, but I believe actually it may have been one of the first, if not the first in the country, where I pushed for that policy in a Department of Corrections.
It's almost impossible to take this stuff seriously. They act as if cutting DEI is going to unravel the fabric of society. But let's be real. DEI in the federal government has never been about diversity or inclusion. It's been about enforcing the woke orthodoxy and turning government into a playground for identity politics. It's a grift, plain and simple, and the American people are obviously fed up with it. And so they elected Donald Trump, and now we get this. Here's a memorandum from the United States Office of Personnel Management, written by Charles Ezell, the acting director of the U.S. Office of Personnel Management. Pursuant to its authority under whatever U.S. code, the U.S. Office of Personnel Management, OPM, is providing the following initial guidance to agencies regarding the President's executive orders titled Ending Racial and Wasteful Government DEI Programs and Preferencing and Initial Rescissions of Harmful Executive Orders and Actions, which repeals Executive Order 14035, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Accessibility in the Federal Workforce. Steps to close agency DEIA offices. In the light of the above executive orders, each should take prompt actions regarding the offices and agency subunits, focusing exclusively on DEIA initiatives and programs. Specifically, agencies should take the following steps. Essentially, they're telling all DEI subunits across federal agencies and departments to close up shop. And that is exactly what the American people voted for. You know, the reality is, despite the outrage, despite pretending as if this is the end of the world and people simply won't be able to move on without DEI programs, most Americans have basic common sense here and they see DEI for exactly what it is. A waste of time and money, and of course, it's racist. They don't want their tax dollars funding lectures on privilege or sensitivity training for people who have actual jobs to do. They want government to focus on things that actually matter, like keeping the roads paved, the lights on, the country safe. But of course, Joy Reid and Eli Mistal don't want to have that conversation. No, they want to frame every story as an attack on marginalized groups, because that's essentially the only card that they know how to play. And really what's funny is that's basically what the whole DEI narrative was all about. But really, it's all about freeing resources. And that's the conversation they don't want to have. They don't want to mention how cutting these DEI departments and subunits is going to free up resources to focus on actual things that matter and that improve people's lives. No, they don't want to have that conversation, but pretty soon, they're not going to have a choice, because I pretty much guarantee you, the moment the Office of Personnel Management and DOGE release the official figures on the amount of money that's being saved from slashing these DEI departments, I'm pretty much guaranteeing you that number is going to be absolutely staggering, likely in the billions of dollars over X amount of years. No, they don't want to have that conversation. They just want to resort to the typical cheap leftist tactic of everything's racist, everything that happens that we disagree with is an attack on marginalized people, and I don't know, probably something about systemic racism. But at the end of the day, they can yell all they want in their little echo chambers, going on and on about this mysterious racism boogeyman, but it won't change anything. Nobody is shedding a tear for the DEI administrators who are losing their cushy gigs. These are the same people who spent years lecturing Americans about how awful their country is, while cashing in big checks paid for by the same people that they were demonizing. You know, maybe now they'll find real jobs in the private sector, actually contributing to society and the nation's GDP, instead of focusing on selling these ridiculous anti-racism training seminars that we've grown so accustomed to ridiculing. The reality is, Trump's DEI cuts are a breath of fresh air. It's a signal that we are done with the woke identity nonsense, and hopefully government's ready to get back to work. And again, I just want to reiterate, that's what this is about. It's not about racism. It's not about race at all. It's about an efficient, working government. That's why Donald Trump is sending people back to work by cutting remote work for federal employees. It's time to stop this abuse of the taxpayer dollars, show up to work, be accountable, and make sure you're providing a service for the country. And it's the same thing with this DEI nonsense. Enough with these useless, bloated institutions. That is clearly the message, and I think most people are getting that message loud and clear. Basically, everybody who's not living in an MSNBC ideological bubble. And so that's pretty much what I got for you guys today. Joy Reid and Eli Mistal crying about imaginary problems while the rest of us are simply moving on. This is a great victory for everybody with common sense. It's an end to the clown world, and that's objectively, I think, just a good thing. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.